On October 17th, 1814, at 5:30 p.m., London experienced a flood of beer. An incident at the Moe & Co. brewery resulted in over 1 million liters, or 300,000 gallons of beer, to flood the streets. It created a wave that reached 15 feet high. The wave smashed into 2 houses, destroying them. Tragically, 8 people lost their lives. This is the story. The Moe & Co. brewery was established in 1764 in the city of Westminster, a notoriously poor neighborhood in London. They used significantly larger vats to hold the beer than other breweries. The porter, a popular dark beer, would mature for up to a year in the large vats. The wooden vats were held together by wrapping large iron bands around them. Before the flood, one of the brewery employees noticed one of the 700-pound iron bands holding the vats together had slipped. He then told his supervisor about the issue, but they dismissed this as it wasn't an uncommon occurrence. The bands were known to slip multiple times a year and hadn't been a problem before. The worker was instructed to leave a note so it could be corrected later. The vat builder even said no harm whatsoever would ensue. About an hour after the band had fallen off, the vessel suddenly burst. The force of the first vat bursting had broken other nearby vats, causing between 153,000 gallons and 388,000 gallons of porter to flood the brewery and neighboring streets. In a nearby house, a 4-year-old girl named Hannah was having tea with her mother and friend. The mother and friend were fortunate enough that the beer washed them out of the house and into the streets. Hannah was not so lucky. In another house, a wake was being held for a young boy. His mother and 4 others, including a young child, were all killed by the flood. A teenage girl named Eleanor was buried under a wall of the brewery that collapsed, and also was killed. Another young girl, Sarah, was also found dead in the aftermath of the flood. Many stories have come out about people trying to salvage the beer and everyone being blackout drunk for days afterwards. None of the newspapers said this, though, and actually said quite the opposite. The press reported the crowds being calm and actively helping those around them. The 8 people who sadly died were killed because they drowned or were buried in the ruins of a destroyed building, not from alcohol poisoning. The coroner and a jury came to the conclusion that these deaths were caused casually, accidentally, and by misfortune. More shockingly, the brewery was not at all held liable for this accident. The coroner's inquest claimed that the accident was an act of God, so Moe & Co. didn't have to compensate the victims. On top of that, the brewery obviously was hurting financially after losing so much of its product that they had already paid taxes on. After petitioning to the Parliament, they recovered some money and were allowed to brew beer tax-free until they had brewed the amount of product that they had lost down the street drains. This saved them from immediate bankruptcy. One good thing that came from the beer tsunami was that the massive wooden vats were replaced with more sturdy concrete vats. The brewery was sold in 1921 and the building was demolished. In its place, the Dominion Theatre was built. Moe & Co. was finally liquidated as a company in 1961. In memory of the lives lost in the London beer flood, some pubs in the area still serve porter beer at 5:30 p.m. on October 17th.